Esiva, this is GLaserable from GamerFusion.com, and what is going on, agents? Today I want to talk to you guys about 5 things you need to know if you haven't decided if you're going to pick up the Division or not, or 5 things that should get you excited for the Division when it's coming out. So these are my personal point of views that I want to point out to you guys. If you guys are still undecided or you guys are decided already that the Division is the game for you, we're going to talk about 5 things that I think are very important when it comes to the Division. So one thing I want to let you guys know is, first and foremost, this is a PvP-based game. Now, when I say this, I want to be very, very clear. There is a PvE aspect to the game, but the majority of the game is meant to be played in PvP. Why do I say that, or where do I come up with this theory, or how did I arrive at this conclusion? Well, let's go ahead and break down what it will go ahead and contain. As you know, this is meant to be played with a group of 3 additional people, making it a total of 4 people playing the same game. Now, when you do missions and you do storylines, yes, you could technically do these solos, but things go a lot more faster if you do it in a group of 4. Not only that, but there's a lot of loot in the game that will require you to actually explore the maps and explore different areas. Nothing is easier than exploring with a group of friends, because they could be like, hey, I found this, or you could be like, hey, I found that, or check this out, this is a cool weapon over here, come and pick it up, and stuff like that. So it makes it very easier to not only traverse throughout the entire New York City of the map, but it's also very helpful when you're trying to progress through the mission. As you guys know, leveling up is very important in the Division, and of course, the faster you level, the better, right? Now, not only that, but you also got to remember there is a Dark Zone part. Now, the Dark Zone, yes, you could technically go in there solo without a problem, but you're going to mostly likely encounter people who are in a group of 4. And unless you're really OP and you can take out on all 4 of them, it's going to be very difficult to you, not only for you to extract gear, but also to obtain gear if you're pretty much just kind of like a 4v1 or pretty much 4 people versus 1 person that's running around solo. Now, this is actually pretty good because you can definitely come to the channel if you guys need to go ahead and find people to play with. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a majority of people who are going to be on the channel and will be playing the Division, and we could all grew up and just go in there as a team. So definitely do keep that in mind. So that's one of the first points I want to point out to you guys, that PvP is very predominant when it comes to the Division. My next one would be loot. This is a loot game. What do I mean by a loot game? Well, if you guys are familiar with my channel, you guys know I cover a lot of Destiny. And one thing that Destiny is, it requires a lot of grinding. Yes, grinding is very important when it comes to the game. But loot also plays an important role when it comes to Destiny. And that's why I'm going to make the comparison with the Division and Destiny. I'm not saying it's the same game or it's very similar. I'm just saying the loot system is very important in the game. Now, what I mean by loot. For example, the Division requires you to have gear. It requires you to have weapons. And all these weapons come in different rarities. It comes in legendary. It comes with, regular standard ones. So you have green, blue, purple, orange, and all these different types of weapons provide you different types of loot. Not only do they come with different types of loot, but they also come with different stats. So it's going to require you to play the game a lot in order for you to actually be able to get not only the loot you like, but also the loot that works well for your statistics. Not only is that also required in the PvE aspect, but also in the PvP aspect. So loot is very important with this game. If you do not like a game that's going to require you to actually grind out and play a lot to actually get good gear, then this might not be your cup of tea. You might want to go ahead and look at something else or a different game. But loot is very important in this game because not only do you have to worry about the weapons, you also have to worry about the gear. That's why I made the comparison with Destiny, because Destiny is very similar as well. In order for you to get the gear you want, you just got to keep grinding the game until you actually either get the drop or you're able to find the item. Now, another thing I want to let you guys know is make sure you guys understand that this is a game that has to do with longevity. What I mean with longevity? So longevity, it means that this game is going to require you for you to actually put in some commitment to it. What I mean by that is there's going to be PvP events. There's going to be raids. There's going to also be different types of missions and challenges you could do. And there's also going to be events that are going to be taking place not only in the PvP aspect, but also in the PvP arena, which is the Black Zone. So do keep in mind that you will have to play this game for a long period of time, and it's going to be highly dependent upon the DLC or different events that come and transpire. Now, if you guys have been playing Destiny before, you know that this has been kind of one of the weak points in Destiny, that we're not getting constant content. And what happens is usually you don't get constant content. The game tends to either die out or people just start losing interest within the game. This game in particular is very similar to that. I mean, for example, we saw the video that was launched yesterday, and this video talked to us and brought us a kind of like a roadmap on what we could expect out of Division. So far, the roadmap looks really, really promising. We have raids almost every month from April to May. We have DLC packs for spring, winter, and summer. So it looks like we're going to be keeping busy when it comes to Division. We also have events that are going to be every week. So it looks like they thought of this portion of the game very well. But if you guys are the type of person that doesn't like a longevity game or just likes to get on the game past past pretty much the campaign and kind of forget about the game, this might not be the game for you, because this game requires you to actually put in a lot of time and a lot of grinding when it comes to the game. So that's my point number 3. Another thing I want to go ahead and point out to you guys is the frustration when you play PvP. Now, as you guys know, usually the majority of the time when you play PvP, you're always saying, oh, I can't believe that happened, or I can't believe this happened. This game is going to be very highly dependent on the PvP aspect. And sometimes it may not just be fair for what happens in the PvP. What I say in that term is someone's going to have a better gun than you will. Someone's going to have better gear than you will. Someone's going to play the game a lot longer than you will and might have better stats than you do. So that makes the game very frustrating for some people, because you're like, oh man, I can't play this. I can't play like 8 hours, 9 hours, or 5 hours of the game every day. I only play the game when I hop online during the weekend. And, I go into the dark zone and bam, I get killed right off the bat because some other guy has a better weapon than I do. Or I can't kill this guy because this guy has better gear than I do. So this game is very dependent on grinding. The grinding is very involved when the game comes out. So keep that in mind. The PvP aspect of the game will not be fair at all. If you grind a lot, you will have better gear. If you don't grind a lot, you will not have that better gear, which will make the game a little bit unfair. Everybody's going to have different weapons. Everybody's going to have a different connection to the internet. You're going to have a different, pretty much gear that you're able to obtain. So it's not going to be fair, but keep that in mind, that even though it's not fair, as long as you're having fun with the game, that is what matters. Now, another thing I want to go ahead and point out that might have not caught your interest, or maybe you haven't pointed out, this game's bosses are pretty much the end game of the game, which are like the raids or the challenges, all of these. Currently, right now, from what we know, within the game, you're only going to be going up against different types of AIs that are very similar all the time. When I mean similar is, for example, when you play Destiny, if you guys do play Destiny, if you don't, you will notice that we have to fight Oryx, we have to fight Golgroth, right? Different types of bosses that have different types of mechanics that make the game very interesting, not only interesting, but also challenging when it comes to playing the game. You also have different types of ways you're supposed to kill these bosses. Now, as far as we know in the Division, so far from what we played in the beta, we know that the bosses or the enemies are mostly all the same. When I mean the same, they're all humans, right? So they're pretty much, the only big difference is maybe someone has more armor, someone has like a better weapon, or, we did play the guy with the flamethrower, and the only thing that changes are the aspects of the weapon, and all you have to do is pretty much sponge bullet sponge ads or bosses. That's pretty much it. Once the yellow bar goes down, you pretty much kill the enemy, and that's about it. Now, this seems to be not issue that I have with the game, but I think it's something that we have to keep in mind. If you guys think you're going to get bored of just killing like AIs over and over that are always human, then this might not be the game for you. But I would actually suggest for you guys to wait for the game to launch, because we don't know, there's going to be some type of mechanic where maybe a boss gets on a tank, maybe he gets on a car, maybe there's going to be a car chase, and have to do this and that. Maybe there's going to be a point where one of your teammates needs to get a flamethrower and clear out a room, or we don't know if there's going to be any sort of mechanics or any sort of in-game kind of strategy that we have to do to actually complete a raid or complete a challenge. At this point, we don't know because the beta was very limited. But that's one thing I do want you guys to keep in note. These are the 5 things that I think will make or break the game. 5 things that I think will actually make you decide if you should purchase the game or if you shouldn't purchase the game. But let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think? Are you guys planning on picking up the Division? Are you guys planning to skip the Division? Or are you guys just going to be waiting to see what other people say about the Division, if it's worth picking up or not? Let me know all that in the comment section. Let me know. Me personally, I am super excited for the Division. I can't wait to actually get my hands on this game and jump on there and do the Dark Zone, collect the loot, and level up my character. I know I compare the game a lot to Destiny. It has a lot of similarities and it has a lot of different things, but it's very similar in the sense of the grinding that's involved. I like grinding. I like, getting my gears the way I want it. I like, to level up my character. So I find that to be fun and exciting. But I hope you guys are as excited as I am and you guys are picking up. If not, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget, guys, for all things of Division, head over to GamerFusion.com, where we empower you gaming.